In this video I will compare the new flagship model of the Mavic line, the Mavic 3, to the former top model, the Mavic 2 Pro, in terms of features and footage quality. I will analyze them in different color modes and different light conditions. I've already made a comparison of the two drones in terms of photography. You can check the link at the end of this video and in the description below. For users interested in videography, the new Mavic 3 offers plenty of very useful extra features. Some of them, for specific uses, could be, in themselves, a good reason to upgrade or choose the more expensive model, regardless of the quality of the footage. The first one is sensor size. Mavic 3 has a 1/3 of an inch sensor, much bigger than the 1-inch one of the 2 Pro. The bigger sensor should translate in better quality in low light and in high dynamic range situations, and contain more info in the shadows. We will check the quality of the footage later on in this video. The Mavic 3 can shoot footage at 5.1K resolution versus 4K for the 2 Pro. It also offers a much wider choice of frame rates, as it can shoot 5.1K resolution up to 50 frames per second, and 4K at 120 frames per second for extreme slow motion, while the 2 Pro can only shoot up to 30 frames per second at 4K. Another very welcome upgrade. Video bitrate is a whopping 200 Mbps versus 100 for the Mavic 2 Pro. A higher bitrate means less compression. Therefore, footage shot with the Mavic 3 should be able to stand all sorts of post-processing tortures. Both models have omnidirectional sensors, but the Mavic 3 has a much improved APAS 5.0 system for obstacle detection and avoidance. I've done a couple of videos about it and tried very hard to crash the Mavic 3, but I did not manage to do it. The Mavic 3 has an announced battery life of 46 minutes, versus 31 for the 2 Pro. In real light conditions, the battery of the new model lasts about 38 to 39 minutes, which is about 15 more than the Mavic 2 Pro. This makes a lot of difference when shooting video, and it is a real life changer for hyperlapses. Somehow DJI managed to maintain the weight of the new model below 900 grams, versus 907 for the 2 Pro. Size matters, as the 900 grams threshold is quite important for European users, as it translates into more relaxed regulations. There is also the unfinished job, the telephoto lens. At the moment it is not very useful, as it doesn't support manual exposure and can shoot video only at 30 frames per second at 4K. It is supposed to be improved in upcoming firmware upgrade. Once completed, it could be a powerful tool for very unusual shots or for close-up views of subjects that we cannot get close to. Finally, the new model has more power, higher wind resistance, and a stronger signal. As you can see, besides video quality, there are a lot of reasons why certain users might want to upgrade. Normal is the mode to use right out of the box, without any post-processing, meant for users who cannot access a computer or need to post footage immediately on social media. It is an 8-bit mode, therefore able to display 16 million colors, versus over 1 billion colors for the 10-bit modes. The Mavic 3 Normal is the sensational Hasselblad natural color solution. For me it is by far the best 8-bit color mode of any Mavic model. I don't want to sound controversial, but in normal mode the 2 Pro shows its age, and in terms of drone technology, 3 years is a geological era. A few months after the release of the 2 Pro, DJI adopted a new graphic processor with the first Mini, and that translated into a huge increase in detail. In this head-to-head, we can clearly see how much more detail is in the trees with the Mavic 3, and the colors are much richer and more natural. With all the footage shot in normal, I found that the Mavic 3 contains plenty of info in the shadows, and it's very easy to obtain the desired colors in post-processing, while the color space of the 2 Pro is extremely limited. The files are very compressed, and it's practically impossible to render the color of the vegetation in a natural way. Also, trees and shrubs looks very mushy compared to the Mavic 3. And the structure of the sky is nowhere near as good. I like the normal mode of the Mavic 3 so much that I tend to use it most of the times, while in all other models I much prefer the 10-bit modes. In my previous comparison about photography, the 2 Pro made a very respectable performance. But for video, at least in normal mode, the face-to-face with the new flagship model is a bit embarrassing. In the description below you will find info about the Mavic 3 and the other gear I use. When purchasing using these links, I get a small, tiny commission that really helps the channel. In DLOG mode, the 2 Pro performs better than in normal. The files contain more info and responds better to post-processing. But the vegetation still lacks detail and the colors are not really natural. Also, the structure of the sky is nothing to write home about. With the Mavic 3 there are several downsides in using DLOG. It is not compatible with intelligent flight modes, and for many users, including myself, this is a serious limitation. The profile is extremely flat, and color grading is time consuming. Also, the image on my tablet is very flat, just a greyish blob, therefore it's very hard to compose. I also find it difficult to expose correctly, as the histogram gets fooled by the flat image. This is why on most occasions I tend to use the excellent normal mode. But DLOG has more dynamic range, and it is the mode I use when shooting in the direction of the sun. In high dynamic range situations, the Mavic 3 opens uncharted territories for drone videography. The amount of information is huge, and it is possible to lift the darkest shadows without any noise, while maintaining an excellent structure in the sky. Hasselblad has put a lot of effort into the building of the lens. Even with the full sun in the frame, there are no nasty flares and no loss of detail and saturation. Sensational performance of the new flagship model, which is much closer to the performance of a full-frame camera than the one of a prosumer drone. Sadly, the Mavic 2 Pro falls completely apart against the sun, and that is not really surprising. Grandad is showing his age. 3 years ago, with drones of the Mavic line, I would carefully avoid shooting anywhere in the direction of the sun. As you can see, all detail and color information has gone. There are horrible flares everywhere, and plenty of chromatic noise in the shadows. A disaster. With both models, in low light, better results are obtained using normal mode. The performance of the 2 Pro is not bad, even though the colors are not very natural. Somewhere else shows up in the building, and there is a noticeable amount of noise in the shadows. To remove noise from video, I use the excellent Neat Video. You can watch my video about it by clicking on the link on the screen now. You will find info about this program in the description below. But once again, the Mavic 3 is on a league of its own. The colors are a thing of beauty. The detail is astonishing, and no noise whatsoever. Long live the king! Click on this link to watch my in-depth video about footage quality with the Mavic 3. And don't forget to hit the like button if you find this video interesting.